When we talk about sitting, it sounds harmless, almost polite. A chair, a moment of rest, a pause in the day. For much of life, sitting is associated with comfort, with learning, with conversation, with work done thoughtfully rather than hurriedly. But something changes after 60. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but quietly, at the level of cells and signals and systems that have been adapting to time for decades. Sitting becomes more than rest. It becomes a message to the body, and the body listens very carefully. The human body is not designed around furniture. It is designed around movement that rises and falls like breath. Muscles are meant to shorten and lengthen, joints to glide, blood to surge and return, nerves to fire in response to shifting weight and changing angles. When we sit for long periods, especially later in life, we interrupt a conversation that has been going on since birth. And the interruption is not neutral. It carries consequences that unfold slowly, often without pain at first, often without warning. After 60, the body is already navigating a landscape shaped by time. Muscle fibers have thinned slightly. The elasticity of blood vessels has changed. Bone remodeling happens more slowly. Nerves transmit signals just a little less efficiently. None of this is failure. It is adaptation. Aging is not a breakdown, it is a negotiation. But prolonged sitting tips that negotiation in an unfavorable direction. One of the first systems affected is circulation. When you sit, especially with hips and knees bent at right angles, blood flow in the lower body slows. Veins rely on muscle contractions to help push blood back toward the heart. In younger bodies, this system is forgiving. Muscles are more responsive, vessels more elastic. After 60, when muscle mass is reduced and vessel walls are stiffer, prolonged sitting allows blood to pool more easily in the legs. This is not just about swollen ankles. Sluggish circulation means less oxygen reaching tissues and slower removal of metabolic waste. Over time, this contributes to fatigue, heaviness, and an increased risk of clot formation. But circulation is not only about blood. It is also about communication. Hormones, immune cells, nutrients all depend on efficient movement through the bloodstream. When sitting dominates the day, these messages arrive late or diluted. The body becomes slightly less coordinated, slightly less responsive. Not dramatically, just enough to matter over years. Then there are the muscles themselves. Muscles are not simply engines for movement. They are endocrine organs, active participants in metabolic regulation. When muscles contract, they release substances that influence blood sugar control, inflammation, and even brain health. Sitting deprives muscles of their voice. After 60, when insulin sensitivity is already declining for many people, prolonged sitting makes it harder for muscles to absorb glucose from the bloodstream. Blood sugar remains elevated longer after meals, placing strain on the pancreas and increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes. This is not about weight alone. Even individuals who appear lean can experience metabolic changes driven by inactivity. The body reads stillness as a signal that energy demand is low. It responds by downshifting. Over time, this downshift becomes the default setting. Energy levels decline, not because the body is failing, but because it has learned to conserve. The hips tell another story. Sitting places the hips in constant flexion. The muscles at the front of the hips shorten while those at the back weaken. After 60, when connective tissues lose some of their resilience, this imbalance becomes more pronounced. Tight hip flexors pull on the pelvis, subtly altering posture. The lower back compensates, the spine compresses unevenly, and discomfort emerges not from injury but from sustained imbalance. Pain in this context is not an enemy. It is information. It is the body saying that a position meant to be temporary has become habitual. Many older adults interpret this pain as inevitable aging, but much of it is positional, reversible, responsive to gentle change. The tragedy is not that the pain exists, but that it is often misunderstood. The spine itself is deeply affected by prolonged sitting. Intervertebral discs rely on movement to receive nutrients. They are not supplied by direct blood flow. They are nourished by diffusion, which depends on compression and release. When sitting dominates the day, especially in a slouch posture, certain areas of the discs are constantly compressed while others are deprived. Over years, this uneven nourishment accelerates disc degeneration. Stiffness replaces fluidity. Movement becomes cautious not from fear but from reduced capacity. And posture is not just mechanical, it is neurological. The position of the spine influences how the nervous system interprets the world. A collapsed chest and rounded shoulders subtly alter breathing patterns. Shallow breathing sends signals of low urgency, low engagement. Over time, this affects alertness and mood. The body and brain are in constant dialogue, and posture is one of their shared languages. Breathing itself changes with prolonged sitting. The diaphragm, our primary breathing muscle, works best when the torso is upright and the abdomen can expand freely. Sitting, especially in soft chairs, restricts this movement. After 60, when lung elasticity decreases, shallow breathing becomes more pronounced. Less oxygen reaches the bloodstream with each breath. The body compensates by breathing faster, which can increase feelings of anxiety and fatigue without any obvious cause. The brain does not escape the effects of sitting. Blood flow to the brain is influenced by posture and movement. Regular movement helps maintain vascular health, ensuring that the delicate network of vessels supplying the brain remains responsive. Prolonged sitting is associated with reduced cerebral blood flow, which over time can affect attention, memory, and processing speed. These changes are subtle. They do not announce themselves dramatically. They show up as moments of forgetfulness, as mental fog, as a sense that thinking requires more effort than it once did. But the brain is also shaped by movement in another way. Movement provides sensory input, feedback from joints, muscles, and skin that helps the brain maintain its internal map of the body. This map, known as proprioception, is essential for balance and coordination. Sitting reduces this sensory input. After 60, when sensory systems are already less sharp, this reduction contributes to balance problems and increased fall risk. The body forgets slightly where it is in space. Balance is not just about strength. It is about communication. The eye's inner ear, joints, and brain must work together seamlessly. Movement keeps this conversation fluent. Sitting allows it to grow quiet. Then there is the matter of bones. Bone tissue responds to load. Weight-bearing movement signals bones to maintain density. Sitting removes much of this stimulus. After 60, when bone remodeling favors breakdown over formation, prolonged sitting accelerates bone loss, particularly in the hips and spine. This is not immediately painful. It becomes apparent only after a fracture, when the consequences are already severe. Digestion, too, is influenced by posture and movement. Sitting for long periods slows intestinal transit. The muscles of the abdominal wall relax, intra-abdominal pressure changes, and the natural rhythm of digestion becomes sluggish. Constipation becomes more common, appetite less reliable. Nutrient absorption can be affected, not because food quality has changed, but because movement has diminished. Even the immune system responds to prolonged sitting. Physical movement stimulates immune surveillance, helping immune cells circulate and identify threats. Inactivity dampens this response. After 60, when immune efficiency naturally declines, this further reduction increases vulnerability to infections and slows recovery. Sleep, often considered separate from daytime behavior, is deeply connected to movement. Physical activity during the day helps regulate circadian rhythms and promotes deeper sleep. Sitting too much blurs the distinction between day and night in the body's internal clock. Sleep becomes lighter, more fragmented. Fatigue accumulates, leading to more sitting, creating a quiet cycle that reinforces itself. Emotionally, prolonged sitting carries its own weight. Movement influences neurotransmitters associated with mood, such as serotonin and dopamine. Reduced movement can contribute to feelings of low mood or apathy, which are often mistaken for psychological aging rather than physiological response. After 60, when social roles may change and routines shift, this emotional dimension becomes particularly significant. What is striking is how interconnected these effects are. Sitting does not harm one system in isolation. It gently nudges many systems at once toward a lower state of engagement. The body is incredibly adaptive. It will always try to meet the demands placed upon it. When the demand is stillness, it adapts to stillness. The danger lies not in adaptation itself, but in adapting to something that slowly erodes resilience. And yet, there is no moral judgment in this. Sitting is not a failure of discipline or willpower. Modern life is structured around it. Chairs are everywhere. Convenience is rewarded. After 60, many people are advised to rest more, to take it easy, often without clarity about what that truly means. Rest is essential, but rest does not require immobility. The body understands rest as variation, not stagnation. Even small interruptions of sitting matter. Standing, shifting weight, walking a few steps, these actions reactivate muscle pumps, stimulate circulation, remind joints of their range. The body responds quickly. Blood flow improves within minutes. Muscles wake up. The nervous system recalibrates. These are not dramatic interventions. They are gentle reminders to the body of what it already knows. The beauty of the human body, even after 60, lies in its responsiveness. It does not demand intensity. It asks for consistency. It asks to be used in the ways it was designed, even modestly. When movement returns, many of the effects of prolonged sitting soften. Blood sugar regulation improves. Posture becomes easier. Pain diminishes not because it is forced away, but because the underlying message has been heard. There is also something deeply philosophical in this. Sitting too much after 60 is not only about physical decline. It reflects how we relate to time, to usefulness, to presence. Movement is engagement. It is participation in the moment. When we move, we affirm that the body is still a place of experience, not just a vessel to be maintained. Scientific curiosity teaches us that aging is not a single process, but many processes moving at different speeds. Sitting accelerates some of the less favorable ones. Movement slows them, not by fighting age, but by cooperating with biology. The body does not need to be pushed, it needs to be invited. If this reflection resonated with you, take a quiet moment to notice how your body feels right now. Not to judge it, not to fix it, but simply to listen. The body speaks in subtle ways, especially as we grow older, and understanding those signals is one of the greatest forms of self-respect. If you found value here, consider subscribing to the channel. Each week, we explore the science of aging, movement, and well-being with curiosity, compassion, and clarity. Not quick fixes, not fear, but understanding. Subscribing helps this message reach more people who may need it, and it keeps you connected to thoughtful conversations that support a healthier, more aware life after 60. Thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, stay curious, stay gently active, and take care of the body that has carried you this far.